Hi, we are Group 16 for MSCI 442, and our debate topic is the following statement. The internet is changing our brains in a negative way. We will be arguing for the position, and our arguments will revolve around the following topics. The negative effects on memory and attention span, online fraud and criminal activity, the effects of online pornography, and the prevalence of propaganda online and in social media.
The internet has allowed us to have a continuous stream of information available at our fingertips at an unprecedented amount and rate. The internet has also caused changes in human neurology, with one significant change being in memory. In a 2011 study led by Betsy Sparrow from Columbia University, it was shown that humans are relying on the internet as a form of transactive or external memory. Transactive memory refers to sources beyond ourselves that we rely on to store information for later retrieval. While this concept is nothing new, as we've used books and print media before the internet existed, the internet has allowed us to rely less on ourselves due to the sheer amount of information available. The study found that humans are becoming better at remembering how to find information and not actually memorizing the information itself, since the information is so easily attainable. It was found that we're less likely to remember something if we know that we can access the information later. William Clem, a neuroscience professor at Texas A&M University, pointed out this limits creative thinking as it relies on working memory, and our working memory is changing due to the internet. Working memory is the cognitive function responsible for being able to store and retrieve information, manipulate it, and use it in thinking, and several studies have found links between working memory and academic success and intelligence. Clem argues that our capacity for creative thinking and problem solving is limited by what we know at the moment as opposed to our knowledge on how to find the information, and due to the internet, our ability to do the prior is declining greatly. The internet can have a massively negative effect on people's minds and their ability to pay attention to simple everyday tasks. There have been several studies performed by researchers which have discovered that people don't have much patience when it comes to waiting for content to load on the internet. Research performed at UMass Amherst has found that people begin to abandon watching online videos after only 2 seconds of delay. Additionally, after a 5-year study performed at University College London, researchers found that people using websites tend to skim over the content rather than read all of it, as they're trying to find relevant information ASAP, with most only reading about 28% of the content on the average web page. This behavior has led psychologists such as Michael Pierchers to conclude that the internet could be giving us symptoms of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or ADHD. In fact, it was also found that the average attention span of humans has dropped to 8 seconds from 12 seconds between 2000 to 2015 due to overstimulation through internet use. It is clear from the studies that our attention span and our ability to focus is declining due to the amount and rate at which the internet provides us information, and will continue to suffer through prolonged use.
Internet is helping cultivate environment for fraud, financial and identity crimes by providing criminals with anonymity behind fake IP and email addresses. They can take advantage of the masking to assume a fake identity and trick their victims into thinking they are legitimate. Online fraud is one of the most common forms of online criminal activities and resulted in up to $10 million in loss for Canada per year. Other forms of financial crime, such as phishing, social engineering, bank fraud, carding, identity theft, extortion, and stealing classified information, are greatly facilitated with the assistance of computer systems. It negatively affects the brains of the victims by leading them to lose trust in others and be permanently traumatized by the financial losses. Drug traffickers are also taking advantage of the internet to sell illegal substances. Professional traffickers can utilize encryption and other technologies such as Tor to arrange deals and track shipments of illegal packages. Furthermore, sites such as Silk Road and popular social media sites such as Instagram are used to promote and sell substances to people who might otherwise be too intimidated to participate in the sketchy activities in person. They are much more comfortable in dealing with these transactions virtually. The deep web, which is not searchable by Google, provides an ideal environment for such activities. The negative effects on people who are exposed to drugs are significant. The substances affect perceptual, emotional, and motivational processes in the brain. People may also suffer from neurological conditions such as stroke, epilepsy, Parkinson's, and Alzheimer's. The pornography industry generates $13 billion each year in the United States, with internet porn alone contributing $3 billion. It is extremely accessible today with the internet, with some teenagers as young as 13 regularly watching it. Watching porn causes a huge surge in dopamine to be released. Through regular use of porn, the brain becomes desensitized to the dopamine. This means that the brain requires even more dopamine in order to invoke the feeling of pleasure. These dopamine spikes mean that porn users require increasingly extreme experiences to be aroused. After having been exposed to pornography over a long-term period, it is possible for people to become desensitized to a point where ordinary sexual encounters do not arouse them. Constant use of pornography can even lead to addiction. Researchers took brain scans of compulsive users of porn and found that pornography causes brain activity similar to that which drug addicts have when they consume drugs. They project that as many as 1 in 25 adults is affected by compulsive sexual behavior, an obsession with sex that they are unable to control. They can have an impact on one's personal life and work.
Propaganda itself is an ethically neutral idea. It is often used by states to spread public awareness and inform their citizens of growing threats such as new epidemics. However, propaganda is more often associated with states using misinformation and fear to further progress political agendas. While the new age of social media has been used to push forward good causes, it has also been used to spread insidious propaganda from special interest groups, activists, and state governments. This affects our brains in a negative way, as it discourages critical thinking and reduces our open-mindedness. Social media allows flashy clickbait to easily propagate, as it feeds on the short attention span of an average social media user. Using this style of media, a group or individual that wishes to push a particular thought or ideology could stylize their message into easily digestible chunks of misinformation or into a well-designed graphic or video that users will feel inclined to share. While this style of media can also be used to spread truth, it more often allows groups to pack their message with biased falsehoods and fallacies that can be accepted as truth at face value unless the messages are viewed critically. The constant bombardment of such media on social media sites makes us more likely to accept some of these messages as truth, since we are more likely to accept messages that reinforce our personal biases, and we are more likely to accept ideas that are popular. A real-life example of propaganda in social media is the phenomenon of ISIS using outlets such as YouTube and Twitter to recruit new members to its terrorist organization. ISIS produces videos and graphics that spread its ideology globally and help push their particular viewpoint. Another example of propaganda in social media is Russia's use of social media to influence its citizens' viewpoints. The director of the Russian International News Agency, Dmitry Kiselev, has been quoted saying, "Objectivity is a myth which is proposed and imposed upon us." The Russian strategy for public misinformation operates on the tagline, "Hack the medium, hack the message." This line of thinking could only reflect a nation that puts little emphasis on a citizen's individual rights and is willing to use any means to reach their ends. This can lead to a citizen caring less about their own rights and being more willing to live under surveillance and subjugation. That concludes our argument. Thank you very much.